History is full of firsts.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Many of those firsts shaped our way of life. For 70 years, KPRC Channel 2 has been proud to be pioneers in shaping television and Houston history.
In a state the size of Texas, everyone can enjoy.
Causing the storms Thursday.
Minutes before 9 o'clock, the crews here tell them.
This is the first time in a long, they had 11. As soon as some of your
Isn't it good to work for a place that has a sense of history? And indeed it is.
See, taking the president from Spring to College Station following.
If you have something you'd like Channel 2 Investigates to check out, call the tip line at 713-223-TIPS or email investigates@click2houston.com. Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Happening now at 10, coronavirus concerns.
Honestly, I'm just really happy they're taking precautions.
Rice University takes precautions after a member of their staff may have been exposed to the virus. Plus, parking problems. How one woman managed to turn the tables on a would-be thief trying to take advantage of the lack of downtown parking. And the race for the Democratic nomination now down to 6. Mayor Pete suspending his run for president. What that means for those who remain. But we begin with breaking news out of Northwest Harris County. 2 people killed, another 2 injured in a violent crash involving 6 vehicles. This is happening on West Mount Houston and TC Jester Drive. That road shut down at this hour as Harris County Sheriff's deputies investigate. Channel 2's Sally Mamdouh live from the scene now. So, Sally, what have you learned from investigators?
Not much right now because, as you can see right behind me, Sion, they're still investigating this crash. A portion of 249 by TC Jester has been shut down. Right now, we know at least 2 people have died in this crash. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez tells us at least 6 cars are involved in this crash. Gonzalez says that fault car believed to have been speeding while attempting to change lanes, and that's when this crash happened. Both the driver and the passenger of the initial speeding car were pronounced deceased at the scene. Another car had a father and a 12-year-old son. Those 2 have been transported by an ambulance. Now, again, a portion of this area will be closed off as deputies continue their investigation into this deadly crash. And again, investigating to see just how many cars also were involved, like how it was all involved, just the severity of this crash. But as you can see, a portion of this area has been blocked off right now as they continue to look into this crash. For now, we're live in North Harris County. Sally Mamdouh, KPRC Channel 2 News.
Sally, thank you. We are also following breaking news in southeast Houston. 2 people rushed to the hospital there after being shot. This happened around 7:30 off Alameda, Genoa, and Lockcrest. Houston police tell us 4 to 5 masked men broke into a game room armed with weapons. There was an exchange of gunfire between 2 employees and the suspects. The 2 employees were shot. One is in stable condition, the other in critical. The suspects got away. Police believe, though, one of them may have been shot. New information tonight about the spread of coronavirus. A second person in Washington state has now died from that virus. And tonight there are concerns right here in the Bayou City. A research staff member at Rice University being tested for a possible case of coronavirus. While they're being tested, the university now recommending 17 people who they had contact with self-isolate. Channel 2's Bill Barajas live at Rice with the university's response and a reaction from students. Bill?
Well, the university tells us the person in question has not had any contact with anybody in the undergraduate population and has not been in any residential colleges or classrooms. Again, this is just a possible case, not a confirmed case. For most, it was just another day on campus. Rice University students got the alert about 24 hours ago.
Yeah, I'd really like the transparency. Some people are debating how much information they should, what college they're at, things like that. But I think to protect the privacy of people, if it's not super necessary, then we don't really need to know.
The university saying a research staff member may have been exposed to the virus while on an overseas trip. The university tells us the person in question had contact with 17 others on campus, including doctoral students, faculty, and staff. That group has now been asked to self-quarantine.
If there were more of a concern, I think I would probably see more of a government presence here, but I get the feeling that's just more of a precaution at this point.
The scare isn't limited to Rice. Rumors on social media have caused problems for Chinese businesses. Masks to protect against the virus have sold out in many locations. The issue prompted Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner to address the problem on Twitter, saying, quote, "There are a lot of things being said on social media, but just for the record, there are no confirmed cases of the hashtag coronavirus in Houston, Harris County." The Houston Health Department talked coronavirus with Canberra Marshall on Houston Newsmakers. Here's what they say you have to look out for.
Fever is very common. Respiratory symptoms, predominantly lower respiratory, so a deep cough as opposed to nasal congestion. So a deep cough, those are the two big things that we worry about.
And as of right now, Rice University says they will not cancel any classes, operations, or events on campus. If that changes, we'll let you know. Live from Rice University, Bill Barajas, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Coronavirus concerns leading to the cancellation of an energy conference set to bring thousands of people to Houston. Sarah Week 2020 was set for March 9th through the 13th. In a joint statement, the city of Houston and organizers said the move comes out of fear of spread of the virus. People attend that conference from more than 80 countries. Organizers say the event will come back next year. Health officials say taking care of yourself and good hygiene are key. That includes washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, avoiding close contact with sick people, and not touching your face. And if you're sick, stay home. Someone has painted over the iconic Be Someone sign with a seemingly coronavirus-related message. It now says, "Wash your hands." Now, we don't know who did it or when it was done. Breaking news out of North Korea. South Korea's military reporting that North Korea has fired an unidentified projectile just 2 days after North Korea state media said Kim Jong-un had supervised a drill. Now, Seoul's Joint Chief of Staff couldn't immediately confirm what that projectile was or how it flew. Well, a cool sunny weekend in the books, but changes ahead. Here is Justin with a look at what we can expect.
Yeah, we're going to see a little more rain starting to move back into the forecast. Probably within the next 24 hours, we'll start to see some of that nicer conditions that we saw. A lot of cloud cover today, but our Triangle Imagery camera is showing those temperatures that are still fairly warm, anywhere from the mid to upper 60s to about 66 in Galveston. I don't expect these temperatures to budge much tonight. They'll likely kind of sit right about where they are with a pretty steady southeast wind. That will continue through most of the night, and that is what is going to start to get the sea fog moving in, likely early tomorrow morning. I'd put it down around some of the coastal counties, Galveston, for example, Sweeney, Lake Jackson, Angleton, if you live down there, Danbury, for example, as well, and out towards Alvin, you may be affected by that. Further inland probably won't be an issue tonight. Tomorrow we could see it creep a little further into that. Otherwise, though, I'm going to keep a 10% chance for showers overnight tonight with a few streamers moving in from the coast. That's really not going to be much of the issue. And notice that those temperatures will not budge much, at least overnight. So the exact track's not showing any rain out there now, but here's what we're watching, and the reason why I said we're going to start to see some rain chances ramp up into the forecast is because of this. The area of low pressure is sitting off of the Southern California coastline, is going to make a beeline right across Mexico and in towards the state of Texas. Not only that, but it's going to tap into some of this specific moisture. So coming up, I'm going to show you where that goes. We'll talk about a couple of different scenarios and how that may either increase or decrease our rain chances, especially as we get in towards the middle of the week. And unfortunately, just for the start of rodeo, but fear not, the entire work week is not a washout. We'll take a look at that coming up here in just a bit, Sam.
And you can track the weather anytime you want by downloading Frank's free weather app. Just search KPRC in your app store. Harris County Sheriff's deputies are investigating after a man was shot and killed by deputies. It happened in Cloverleaf along Freeport Street. Deputies say they'd had reports he may have been involved in a nearby carjacking. And when they pulled him over, he allegedly began waving a gun around, saying he did not want to go back to jail. Deputies say he then aimed it at one of the officers, who fired 3 shots, killing that man.
It's basically a situation where an individual doesn't necessarily want to take their own life, but they do, and kind of trigger a situation where the officer's forced to make that decision and ultimately take their life.
The man who was killed has not yet been identified. Two brothers recovering after police say they were shot during an argument. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says it happened around noon on Highland Cross in north central Harris County. Investigators say those brothers were inside a vehicle with two other men when an argument broke out, and the brothers ran. Shots were then fired at them. We're told both of the brothers are expected to be okay. The shooters are still on the run. Only on two terrifying moments for a convenience store worker after two men robbed her at gunpoint in North Harris County. It happened overnight at a Texaco along the North Freeway near Veterans Memorial Drive. Surveillance video showing the moment the two men entered the store and pointed a gun right in her face.
When I called at the store and she says they came and they took the money, she called the cops. They came last night. Well, she was panicked. She was scared, but I guess she's okay. Nothing happened to her.
The robbers got away with nearly $1,000. The long-awaited murder trial of Robert Durst gets underway tomorrow in Los Angeles. Durst is accused of killing his best friend back in 2000. Prosecutors say Durst shot her to keep her from talking to investigators about the 1982 disappearance of his wife. In 2003, Durst was accused of murdering his neighbor in Galveston. He admitted to the murder but claimed self-defense. He was found not guilty in that death, but sentenced to 5 years in prison for evidence tampering. Testimony begins tomorrow in the trial of former executives with Arkema chemical plant. Prosecutors accusing the company of releasing toxic chemicals and putting emergency crews in danger after that plant was inundated by floodwaters from Hurricane Harvey. Jurors will decide whether that company was criminally reckless. Coming up tonight, weather woes in the Northeast. What caused these homes to freeze over and where this video was taken? Plus, strong words from a heartbroken wife and mother. Vanessa Bryant tonight reacting to reports law enforcement shared photos of the deadly crash that killed her husband and daughter. And the race for the White House getting a little smaller. Buttigieg bowing out. The comments he made tonight in South Bend, Indiana, and what this means for the race moving forward. Next on Channel 2 News at 10.
What happened? A toxic, cancer-causing chemical in the city's tap water.
It's in way more of our water supplies than I think any of us have imagined.
Now KPRC Channel 2 Investigates has the brand new test results.
Everybody's got to drink water, so they start to freak out.
The changes we could finally see after our years of relentless reporting into the safety of our drinking water. Monday at 10.
You're watching Channel 2, Houston's home for news.
A Democratic presidential hopeful is calling it quits. Mayor Pete Buttigieg ending his campaign tonight. And former Vice President Joe Biden has some momentum heading into Super Tuesday after his South Carolina win. NBC's Dan Shinneman has the latest on the race for the White House.
None other than Joe Biden! Come back here!
Fueled by a big win in South Carolina, the former vice president back on the campaign trail, speaking to one of his core constituencies, African-American voters in Selma, Alabama.
We're all called, once again, to put our shoulders to the wheel, to turn this country away from injustice.
The frontrunner, Senator Bernie Sanders, must now try to regain his momentum after finishing a distant second in South Carolina.
Our campaign is reaching out to millions of working people who have given up on the political process because they think the establishment has turned its back on them.
The results in South Carolina were enough to convince businessman Tom Steyer to end his campaign. And former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg announced he's bowing out.
I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we have a new Democratic president come January.
The next big showdown for the candidates is this week, Super Tuesday. Voters in 14 states will go to the polls and likely shape the next phase of the race. Dan Shinneman, NBC News.
Former Vice President Joe Biden heading to the Bayou City ahead of Super Tuesday. Biden will host a rally tomorrow at Texas Southern University. It kicks off at 1 o'clock at the school's College of Science. Again, the Texas primary is this Tuesday, and aside from the presidential primary, there are several local and state races on the ballot. On click2houston.com, we've got a rundown of the big races under the politics tab. Voters in Oklahoma also heading to the polls Tuesday to decide if liquor stores can open on Sunday. If the measure passes, it will be up to individual stores to decide whether they want to open on that extra day. The president of Oklahoma's liquor lobby says he's confident it will be good for business.
We would love to be able to take some of the business away from the grocery stores and the chain stores that currently get all of the beer, wine, and spirits business on Sundays.
Now, opponents of the measure fear it will lead to more alcohol-related deaths. Members of Mike Bloomberg's campaign team say their Burlington, Vermont office has been vandalized. Representatives say someone threw a brick through the window. Staffers found the damage on Saturday morning.
It's hard to see. It's not, I don't think it's representative of who we are as Vermonters, who we are as Americans.
Police are now investigating. Vanessa Bryant, the widow of Kobe Bryant, says she is devastated by reports that sheriff's deputies shared photos of the helicopter crash involving her husband, daughter, and 7 others. Through her attorney, Bryant said, quote, "This is an unspeakable violation of human decency, respect, and of the privacy rights of the victims and their families." She's now demanding those involved be disciplined. The LA County Sheriff's Department says the allegations are under investigation. A man accused of intentionally driving onto a busy sidewalk in San Diego is behind bars tonight. Officers say the suspect had been asked to leave a bar because he was too intoxicated. He then allegedly got into his rental U-Haul van and drove it into a sidewalk, hitting 3 people. No word tonight on their conditions. 100 people without a home after a massive 2-alarm fire ripped through an apartment complex in Nashville, Tennessee. That fire started just after 7 o'clock Saturday and quickly spread across the complex. Thankfully, everyone was able to escape safely.
Once we got everybody off the 3rd floor, scaled down to like the 2nd floor, and then we caught them down by the bottom. Once we got them all out, then we just attempted to like beat on the doors of everybody that we could get to that wasn't just started unsafe.
Officials say 1 person was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Now, in stark contrast to our almost spring-like weather here, it's been so cold in New York, some homes are encased in ice. Check this out. These waterfront homes are on Lake Erie in Hamburg, and all of this ice is the result of 2 straight days of gale-force winds and freezing temperatures. Some people saying it looks like a scene out of Narnia. Whoa. That's cold. Right there on the lake?
Yeah, well, not only cold, but I mean, now if you've got, let's say, what, 12 inches of ice, you got to like pop all that through. How fast do those roofs start to collapse as well?
Scary.
Yeah, that's not fun. I wouldn't enjoy that. So that's why I live down here in Texas. We'll enjoy that for sure. All right, let's talk about what we saw for today. Temperatures out there are on the warm side. 75 Intercontinental, 74 at Hobby Galveston, around 71. So certainly not record-setting temperatures, but as Sian mentioned, very spring-like, and that's going to remain over the next couple of days. I don't think we're going to see much change in that. And in fact, notice for the most part, we've got that southeast wind that's got the temperatures kind of holding in the mid-upper 60s, and this is likely where they'll sit, maybe drop a degree or 2. That's about it. I don't think there's going to be much through much of the night tonight. And in fact, the winds may stay somewhat elevated. I think we're going to probably keep at least a 10-15 mile-an-hour wind as you get down towards Galveston, Angleton as well. And that's where we'll start to see some of the sea fog moving inland. Right now, fairly quiet. I'm going to start with the showers, and then we'll show you if we do happen to see any of that fog. It'll be out there for the most part. Don't think we're going to see, as I said, not much change in the temperature. Fog starts to get a little more widespread as we get in towards tomorrow morning. And one of the reasons why that is because that southeast wind has been pumping in all the moisture. More moisture in the air, that means the dew points get higher. The higher the dew points get, and the air temperature doesn't fall, they get real close to each other. That's when we get some of the dense fog, and that's what we think we'll see over the next couple of mornings. So that said, notice by tomorrow morning, still holding it around 66, 67 degrees, and then jumping up into the mid-70s as we get to tomorrow afternoon. Now, could we see a couple of stray showers? Absolutely. 20% chance, similar to what we saw today. They'll be very light. I don't expect to see much change in that. It's really Tuesday, Wednesday is the time frame when we start to see that system come on through. Now, fog-wise, what we'll likely be looking at is especially west and south. Down around the coast, I think that's where we'll really see the impact, especially by around sunrise. Could see those visibility down to about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile in some spots, 3/4 down around High Island and Galveston. That should start to improve as we get later on into the morning, and we'll kind of rinse and repeat that over the next couple of days. Zach Track's fairly quiet. We've got a few showers trying to pop as you get over towards East Texas, but I'm kind of widen things out and show you what's happening. Here's our low that we're going to be keeping a track on for Tuesday and Wednesday. And notice we've got this little stream of Pacific moisture that's moving in as well. Put those two together, and that is what could be dealing with a recipe for some heavier rain potential. Now, here's kind of what it looks like. We're going to take a bigger picture. I'm going to show you 2 different scenarios of what we may see. So by Tuesday, that front is stretching just to the north of us. It's going to bring some showers and a few thunderstorms, but it's really Tuesday night into Wednesday when this low tracks on through. Now, Once that moves closer to us, here are two scenarios. If this area of low pressure stays a little further inland, most of the heavy rain is going to be north of Houston up around Dallas. But if it starts to track a little further south and let's say moves around Corpus, well, then the further south it gets, that heavy rain potential could move a little further south. Right now, the way that it looks like is that it is going to stay a little further north of us. Thus, our futurecast rainfall totals for most of the area here, anywhere between ½ an inch to an inch. Notice the 2 to 3 is up near Dallas. If that happens to shift a little further south, expect these colors, allow the heavier rain potential to continue to shift a little further south as well. So it's something we're going to have to watch over the next couple of days. And unfortunately, I know that's when the primary is on Tuesday, folks that are voting, and the start of rodeo as well. So it's going to be a little sloppy both Tuesday and Wednesday. So just keep yourself weather aware both those days. The good news is by Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday for the first weekend rodeo, we're looking good. Nice cool mornings in the 50s, that is, and nice afternoons in the low 70s. So decent weather, but you know, it wouldn't be rodeo if we didn't have at least 1 or 2 days where things just get a little ugly out there.
Yes.
And does look like that's going to be the case as we get ready to kick things off on Tuesday.
We're used to by now. We know how to prepare, and we can still have a good time.
I was going to say, you know what? You just stay inside.
Exactly. There's things to do there, right?
I heard.
I know what you're talking about.
Right?
All right, Randy's in now, and a great day for the Cougars.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of good days lately. It's a fun team to watch, a young team getting better as March Madness rolls around here in about 3 weeks. Tournament time, first place on the line in the AAC today. Cougars that get it done at home and keep a share of that conference lead. How they took down Cincinnati coming up straight ahead. Great crowd, by the way, today. Plus, from Tommy John surgery to his return to the mound, what today meant for Astros right-hander Lance McCullers Jr. coming up next.
Dealer.
We are counting down the days until the 2020 Summer Olympics. We're now just 144 days away from the opening ceremony. And this year, skateboarding has been added to the list of competitions. But if you were hoping to see Shaun White trade his snowboard for a skateboard, you're going to be disappointed. The 3-time snowboarding champ telling the Associated Press he is taking skateboarding off of his plate and that he won't try to qualify for that sport's Olympic debut later this year. Oh, man, that was going to be fun, huh?
Big name, not going to be there.
Right.
Huh? I think a lot of people were counting on that.
Well, someone else will take a spot for sure.
There'll be some great athletes. Time to talk some sports, and let's jump right into it. Welcome to the Xfinity Sports Desk. Busy sports day here in Houston. We start over at U of H. Cougars. Kelvin Sampson's crew entered today with just 3 games left in this regular season. They're playing great basketball. Share first place on the line as the Cougs hosted Cincinnati. Cougars were ready. Freshman Caleb Mills, the offensive star. Look at that shot right there. Drew the foul. He had 15. He was steady again. Fellow freshman Marcus Sasser filled it all day. He hit 5 of U of H's 8 3-pointers. He had a team high and a game high 21. U of H led by 7 at the half. They win by 13. Now share that conference lead with Tulsa with 2 games left to play in this regular season. More coming up on Sports Sunday. Lance McCullers Jr., meanwhile, he last pitched in a game back on August 3rd of 2018. 500 days later and 15 months after Tommy John surgery, the Astros right-hander back on the hill today, this time over in West Palm Beach. McCullers fired up to be out there, had to be contained a little bit, but Dusty Baker wants to ease him back into his routine. Had a pitch count of 20 or less today, wound up throwing it 16 times, struck out 1, gave up a double in 2/3 of an inning. You see that smile right there. It was a successful day. Astros got a 2-run triple from Ronnie Dawson as far as the ball game went, but the story, the long-awaited debut this spring for McCullers.
I executed mostly what I wanted to do. I mean, out of the 16 pitches I threw, really only maybe 1 or 2 that I didn't execute kind of the way I was hoping to pre-pitch. So really happy with just the way I felt overall.
All right, XFL today, unbeaten Houston Roughnecks at Arlington taking on the Dallas Renegades. Perhaps a new rivalry brewing here. 6-0 Roughnecks in the second quarter. P.J. Walker over the middle to Nick Hiley for the touchdown. I love this. They went for a 3-point conversion and got it. Went up 15-0. Late in the third, it was 15-11 when Walker fires to a wide-open Blake Jackson for another touchdown. Houston holds off Dallas 27-20. They improved to 4-0, Sion, on the season. The only undefeated team left right now in the XFL. They're coming back home coming up on Saturday. A lot to get into. We'll see you at 11 o'clock on Sports Sunday.
All right. Thank you, Randy.
All right.
All right, coming up, a mom going viral with overwhelming support after she was caught on camera keeping her son in line in a craft store restroom. And only on 2 tonight, a man posing as a parking attendant arrested in downtown Houston. The victim he tried to trick, speaking out about the sneaky way he took her money.
From KPRC, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Scammed in the heart of downtown Houston, a woman says she was told to pay nearly 3 times more than the going rate to park. Only on Tuesday night, the person police arrested for that crime. Plus, former warehouse worker wanted, an Exxon employee on the run from the law and facing a felony. What he's accused of doing that lost the company thousands of dollars. And the coronavirus claiming another life here in the United States. What we know about the second death in 24 hours and the concerns here at home. But we begin this half hour with a story you'll see only on 2 tonight. A man taken into custody in downtown Houston after a woman noticed something wasn't quite right with the amount of money he charged her to park. Channel 2's Sally Mamdou spoke with that woman about the red flags that led her to call police.
The woman tells me the man handed her this fake ticket here, and we also almost got this fake ticket from the same man while we parked in this parking lot. When Tony Gillespie heads to downtown to dine at her go-to restaurant, she typically parks here at this paid parking lot by La Branch in Dallas. But this Saturday, she says she couldn't pay for her parking at the machine.
And we were approached by an attendant who said, well, it's going to be a special event parking today because of all the events going on, rodeo, etc.
And that man told Tony she would have to pay him $20 to park.
He had on a vendor's tag. So I looked and said, well, let me see your tag because it's unusual. I come to this restaurant pretty frequently and the parking is usually just always $7.
Something just seemed off to Tony when she noticed the man's vendor tag was expired.
He's like, well, I know it's expired, but my partner has another one. Well, where's your partner? His partner is not around.
Tony paid the man $20, and in return, the man handed her what seems to be a valet ticket. But that ticket belongs to the Renaissance Hotel in Austin. Tony checked with the restaurant to see the reason for the price increase and found out there was no price increase and that she had been scammed. She then immediately flagged down an officer patrolling the area who found the man in the parking lot and arrested him for theft. This all happened while we are in the same parking lot. You see, the man now identified as Elliot Nix had tried to scam us an hour before. The man was scoping the parking lot looking for potential victims. That's when he spotted us sitting in the news truck. The man then tapped on the hood of the car to get our attention. Then he was wondering whether we paid for our parking or not. But once he noticed that we've paid for our parking and the ticket is right here, he backed off immediately and walked away looking for another potential victim. That's when he found Tony, who's glad she took action.
You just have to follow your instincts. If someone approaches you and say, hey, you need to pay me, and they have a ticket, just be cautious. Ask questions.
The woman tells me that after police arrested the suspect, they were able to give her back her $20. In downtown Houston, Sally Mamdou, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
New at 10, a former ExxonMobil employee facing serious charges after he allegedly stole nearly $180,000 worth of equipment from his employer. 37-year-old Kendrick Jerome Lott now facing a felony theft charge. According to court documents, he stole 164 computers from Exxon while he was working in their warehouse in Spring. Investigators say he was caught on surveillance camera carrying the laptops out of the business several times last March. Lott has yet to be arrested. Turning now to our weather, we hope you enjoyed the sunshine on Saturday. While it lasted, we may not see much more over the next few days. Channel 2 meteorologist Justin Stapleton in now with what we can expect.
No, it sure wasn't there today, was it?
No.
It was difficult to really kind of like get through those clouds.
know.
Yeah, we're going to see the same thing tomorrow. Probably not much change in the forecast, especially overnight. We'll see those temperatures holding in the mid-60s, right about where they're at right now. I don't think we're going to see much dip at all. And in fact, we've got a couple of cooler spots out there. 64 in Katy, 66 in Sugar Land, and that's kind of where everyone's sitting right now. Southeast winds helping that as well. So let's roll it through the rest of the night tonight. Notice that the fog starts to move in as well. Right now, we haven't seen a whole lot. Visibilities are anywhere from around 7-8 miles an hour. That's fairly good. But I do expect those to start to crater as we head to early tomorrow morning. Might see a quick shower or two, and that's about it. Otherwise, overcast is how we'll start the day. Likely how we're going to finish as well as we head in towards our Monday. So temperatures will look like this. Not much change. We're going to keep it right at about 66 degrees or so. Notice we'll quickly jump back up into the 70s. And I'm going to keep just about a 10% chance of a shower or two for early tomorrow morning. That chance will go up as we start to track this. This is going to be an area of low pressure sliding its way in from Southern California. You're going to tap into some of this Pacific moisture, and that will bring back some more widespread rain chances. But just how much rain are we talking, and will there be any flood concerns with that? I'll get into all those details here coming up in just a bit.
Okay, Justin, thank you. Remember, you can track the weather anytime by downloading Frank's free weather app. Just search for KPRC in your app store. We have new details tonight in the coronavirus crisis. Rice University alerting students and staff that a research staff member may have possibly contracted the virus during a trip overseas. The university initially put out the alert yesterday. Officials at Rice telling students that a staff member was on campus Monday and Tuesday of last week and had direct contact with 17 people. The university recommending those 17 people self-isolate while the staff member is tested. Rice did say the staff member did not have any contact with the undergraduate population, residential colleges, or classrooms.
Fundamentally speaking, it was bound to happen. We have one of the largest international airports in the world, like 30 minutes away. Well, more like an hour away, but we have two major airports right here. I think inevitably someone was going to come through Houston in general and get it.
There are currently no confirmed cases of coronavirus in the city of Houston. That's according to the Houston Health Department. The coronavirus has claimed a second life in the U.S. Tonight, Washington state health officials say a second person has died from coronavirus. A man in his 70s died in a Seattle area hospital. He did have underlying health conditions when he died at Evergreen Health in Kirkland. That's the same facility where officials identified the first person who died in the nation. That patient was a man in his 50s, also with underlying health conditions. Tonight, New York says it's dealing with its first case. In a statement, the governor said the woman in her 30s contracted the virus during a recent trip to Iran. She's being isolated. He added she's been in a controlled situation since arriving in New York. And the spread is having a drastic impact on the daily lives of tens of millions of people. Today, the busiest museum in the world suddenly closed. More evidence of the effect of the virus on sports, commerce, and culture. NBC's Bill Neely reports from Italy.
The world's most visited museum, the Louvre in Paris, shut down because of the world's most contagious virus. Staff afraid, thousands locked out and worried.
I'm going to try to stay healthy and happy and live my life.
From the World Health Organization today, more aggressive advice than from US officials, advising anyone over 60 or with underlying conditions, that's hundreds of millions globally, to avoid crowded areas.
We need to prepare for a potential pandemic. Day by day, we see the window of opportunity closing.
In South Korea, another huge surge of infections. The entire population urged to stay home. The capital's mayor levelling murder charges at the leader of a religious sect where the country's epidemic began. 2/3 of its cases traced to this group. With Americans now being officially warned to stay away from hotspots like South Korea, and here in Milan, multiple airlines, including American, are now abandoning lucrative routes. The Pope cancelling more events. He coughed and sneezed, praying in Rome today. The Vatican say he has a cold, not the virus. Italy's infection rate jumped 50% today. More than 1,600 cases, 34 dead. An Italian tourist in the Dominican Republic, the first person infected in the Caribbean. Australia and Thailand reporting their first deaths. Bill Neely, NBC News, Milan, Italy.
All right, we are following breaking news out of East Houston. Houston police tweeting just moments ago that there's been a fatal auto pedestrian accident in the 5400 block of Market Street, and they're learning that the vehicle involved was stolen. It struck a person, then fled the scene, and unfortunately that pedestrian has passed away. Right now they're looking for 3 people who fled on foot. There is an ongoing search for those suspects. We'll continue to follow this and bring you the latest as it develops. Thousands of people making their way downtown Houston to raise awareness and money for AIDS research. AIDS Foundation Houston holding its 31st annual AIDS Walk at Sam Houston Park. Nearly 3,000 people participated in the 5K to help raise awareness and funds for AIDS Foundation Houston.
We had 14 benefiting agencies that were partners this year with us. We're also raising money for the organizations that they work for and bringing people out to the park today to walk, to educate themselves. We did food testing today at the park as well. So really just trying to get people to know their status and then take action.
The event also supporting several other organizations working to help the nearly 30,000 Houstonians living with the virus. Turning now to the future of space, SpaceX getting ready to launch its 22nd Dragon spacecraft on its Falcon 9 rocket. That launch originally set for tomorrow, but has been pushed back now to Friday at 10:50 p.m. When it blasts off to the International Space Station, it will be carrying 5,000 pounds of cargo, including live mice. Those mice will be studied to get a better understanding of the gravitational biology of mammals. Well, she may be small, but she is a fighter. Coming up next, the heroic dog who helped one girl escape a pair of armed robbers. and who came to the rescue to help save a veteran from freezing waters. Then later, an incredible dream becoming reality as one teen works to bring an end to the bullying epidemic. Police in Georgia on the hunt tonight for two men caught on camera breaking into a home before police say they threatened to shoot a girl and put a bullet inside a dog. The homeowner says her niece was home alone when the two men approached and forced their way inside, but they were met with a whole lot of trouble in a little tiny package there. 2-year-old Starla distracting the two men long enough for the girl to make it outside. But during the escape, the gunmen shot Starla 2 times before chasing after the girl as they followed her out. So did Starla, even with the bullet in her leg. The two men eventually hopping in their car and taking off. In North Dakota, 2 contractors being credited for saving an elderly man's life after they quickly jumped into action when hearing him call for help. Deputies say the man fell into the Missouri River Friday. That's when a pair of contractors working on a home nearby heard his calls. They found the man struggling in the frigid waters. They were able to pull him out and warm him up until first responders could arrive. It wasn't until after the rescue the two found out they had saved a 96-year-old World War II veteran.
The adrenaline, kicked in and just trying to get him out of there, and fast enough before, more ice broke or anything like that, get him in, get him warmed up, and just, call the ambulance.
Now, it's unclear how long the man spent in the frigid water, but he's reportedly doing okay and is expected to fully recover. One mother going viral tonight after giving her son a lesson in discipline in the middle of a shopping trip. A woman capturing this moment in the restroom of a Hobby Lobby store in Killeen, that's 30 miles west of Temple. It was then posted onto Facebook. The mom seen holding one of her children while she had her 10-year-old son doing push-ups. The mother says she asked her son to behave and stop bothering his little brother in the store. And when he didn't listen, she took him to the bathroom for this punishment. Well, the mom now receiving praise from hundreds of parents for that move. More than 4,000 people daring to dive into Chicago's frigid Lake Michigan to raise money for the Special Olympics. NBC's Today Show personalities Al Roker and Craig Melvin were among the brave swimmers. The event benefits 7,500 Special Olympic athletes in Chicago. Today's water temperature, just about 20 degrees colder than the 40-degree air temperature.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool.
Tell me exactly how it felt besides it being cold.
1,000 needles all at once. It's great.
Right?
It's
so,
we're alive. We're alive.
Got to get your adrenaline up by doing that, just screaming. That'll help warm you up, right? Organizers say that event did, in fact, raise more than $2 million. It was definitely for a great cause.
You ever done one of those, Sam?
I have not. I put my toe into the lake several times while I was a student at Northwestern in Chicago, but not during winter time. No.
Yeah, I've done a few of those for charity as well, and that's a perfect descriptor that Al said. It's like 1,000 needles just kind of hitting you all at once. It's not a lot of fun. We used to do it up in Eugene at the Willamette Valley, at the Willamette River, which stays generally cold because it's all mountain snow runoff, right? So even in the summertime, at the actual temperature of the water is only at about 45 degrees. So it was chilly, that's for sure. You can see the Williams Tower there has got the old beacon out tonight in anticipation that we're likely going to see the clouds start to settle down. We're going to start to see some fog out there tonight as well. One of the reasons why these temperatures, they're slowly falling back into the low 60s, which is right about where the dew point is. It's fairly quiet out there now in terms of the fog. Visibilities are all okay at about 7, 8, 9, 10 miles. 10 miles is the max. So when you see the 10 on the board, that's good. But I do expect some of these to start to crater as we head in towards the rest of the night tonight, including especially down at the coast and further out west as well, where the dew points are a little higher. And that's a very important number because as that and the air temperature get real close together, that's when you can get that dense fog. So tomorrow morning, if you're headed out 5, 6 a.m. or for sure before sunrise, do be ready for some of that fog out there. Turn us on. Birdie will have most of that for you. And then as we get in through the rest of the morning, we'll see that start to wind down. Should be A-OK. Temperatures, as I mentioned, not much change from what we saw earlier this evening. They're all sitting in the mid-60s out there, and that's about where they'll sit. Now, the dew points, as I said, are all in the low 60s. And so as those dew points and the air temperatures start to get closer together, that's when the fog will start to move in. So that said, showers likely will as well, but they'll be very, very light overnight tonight into tomorrow. Even by tomorrow afternoon, I've still got us at about a 20% chance. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of any kind of heavier rain. Notice the temperatures will get back up into the mid-70s, so more spring-like conditions, and the little bit of rain that we're seeing out there now is moving its way over in towards East Texas and eventually into Louisiana. This is what we're going to keep a watch on, this little area of low pressure just south of Los Angeles right now, bringing some wet weather across LA. But notice that this little, what I've called an avenue, so to speak, is Pacific moisture. That low is going to track its way across Mexico and eventually work on closer to us. As it does, that's when we expect to see it hook up with this front that'll stall out just a bit. Now the question, and I mentioned this earlier, is where does it track from there? If it tracks a little further north, it'll keep the heavy rain up near Dallas. If it tracks a little further south, that puts us into play for seeing more potential for some heavier pockets of rain versus if it's just going to be, you know, scattered showers and thunderstorms moving on through. So we still have a couple of days to track this, which is good. We will do so, but do know Tuesday, Wednesday likely are going to be fairly unsettled days. Both days, I think, are pretty much fair game for that. Now, how much rain we'll see from that same story if it tracks north, heavy 2 to 3, 4 inches, stays up near Dallas. If it's a little closer to us, we'll move that further south. Right now, we'll kind of go glass half full. Looks like maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And we need the rain, too. We've got some spots out there that are getting unusually dry in terms of the drought monitor. So a little sloppy start, not only for the primary if you're going to go out voting, but of course for the start of rodeo as well. And then as we get into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, much better looking weather. Keep those overnight lows nice and cool in the low 50s and afternoon highs fairly comfortable in the low 70s. So as we said, also Sion, wouldn't be rodeo unless we had 1 or 2 nasty days to get things kicked off, would it?
All right. Thank you, Justin.
You betcha.
Stronger than ever, coming up, a local actor speaking out, sharing how he plans to fight bullying. That's in tonight's Sunday Conversation.
Let's go places.
Action Magazine is the result of a boy's dream to put a spotlight on the bullying epidemic. GABRIEL SILVA was bullied while he was in school. He took his experience and wanted to help others who were going through similar situations. In this week's Sunday Conversation, Tanaya Wright introduces us to the local actor who shares his story.
Okay, Gabriel, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Okay, well, I was being bullied when I was little in elementary school because of my size. And so basically I got into acting because at first my mom put me in there to build up my self-esteem, and at first I really didn't like it. And then I started to like it, and well, now I'm acting. I am an introvert, but when I'm acting, it's just a bit different because like I get to step into somebody else's shoes for a minute, and I find that fun.
You said you were bullied when you were in elementary school, right, and you kind of did the whole Action Magazine, Action clothing line to kind of put a spotlight on bullying.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically how we started the whole magazine and clothing line and all that was I had gotten back from Los Angeles, and I had found out that since I had left school, my friends were starting to be bullied. I felt a bit angry because I couldn't do anything to help them. And so my mom and I came up with the idea to start the clothing line and magazine and all that to spotlight bullying and help maybe end it one day.
You said your friends were being bullied, but once you kind of like branched out and started talking about it more through all that, you saw it was actually happening to a lot of people you may not even expect.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, like when I found out that it was like a bunch of people, like celebrities had even been bullied, and I was just like, wow, because you'd never expect that.
Can you tell us a few people that were featured in the magazine, or one's interviews, or things you thought was just different or unique?
But like in their own way, they've all stuck out. So like it's hard to name one person or one interview because like they've all stuck out.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about like 1 or 2 specifically maybe?
Tanya Wright from Little Women. I think it was interesting that someone from like a popular TV show would reach out to us and ask for an interview.
Can you tell us a little bit about what she said in that interview that was so special or stood out?
Well, like she was just talking about how she was going through the things because she was small for her size, and that just stuck out because that was like basically my situation when I was little, because I was being bullied because of my height.
Did she have any good advice for you?
Her advice basically was, doesn't matter about your height, you know, sky's the limit, you can pretty much do anything. We started this to help people, but I never really thought it would help that many people. So it's like a dream almost.
How does it feel? You guys have had people who've read your articles and something in the articles resonated with them, or people who have been bullied and have seen them and it makes them feel better or makes them think of it in a different way. So how does that make you guys feel?
I mean, it makes us feel like happy because like we were able to do what we set out to do.
Going out there to Hollywood and being in movies and being around big celebrities, it's got to be just really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's just exciting to just be there and have fun.
Can you tell us some of like the people you've met?
Like most of the people that I've met that have stuck out to me are just all the people behind the scenes, because eventually I'd want to be a director and a producer and all that. So just getting to see them work and them showing me how to do these things has been just the best part.
Who inspires you, or who would you want to be in Hollywood?
You see, I get asked that a lot, and I'd always say I don't want to be the next whoever. I want to just be me.
A great answer. You can see this conversation and others on our website, click2houston.com/Sunday. Justin's got a final check of the forecast next. Stay with us.
Hyundai.com today.
All right, welcome back. We're 3 short minutes away from the start of Sports Sunday. Join me, Ari, Vanessa, and Wex in studios coming up at 11 o'clock. Small ball really working out just fine for the Rockets of late. After that upset in Boston last night, we're going to break down why it is working so far for these Rockets. Looking good. How the young UVH Cougars took another giant step towards their big conference goal at Fertitta Center today. And a big step in West Palm today for Lance McCullers Jr. He's back on the hill after his long journey back from Tommy John surgery. And Bill O'Brien on giving up his play calling duties to Tim Kelly this season. We'll talk about that. Plus, we're hanging with the Dynamo fans on game day. Sports Sunday coming up in a couple minutes, guys. We'll see you then.
All right, Randy, thank you. You know, I'm so prepared for this rain. I was wearing my rain gear inside the studio.
You were, I know.
And people were making fun of me, but I'm ready.
Hey, you know, listen, they're going to be making fun. You will be like, You see that on Wednesday when everybody comes in all soaked. That's right. And you'll go, told you. Yeah. I listened to Stapleton. Y'all did.
Exactly.
So. All right, speaking of which, let's check out your 10-day forecast right now. We're going to go a little sticky over the next couple of days. It's going to be very humid out there, especially Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. Keep those temperatures overnight lows in the mid-60s. And I do think fog is going to be an issue each morning as well. And then Wednesday right now is the time frame. If we do happen to get that low coming through here, bring in some heavy rain, it'll likely be then, as we said, just in time for the start of rodeo. But then clearing out by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll be back in the 70s.
All right, thank you, Justin, and thank you for joining us. Sports Sunday is next. Remember, we break news on click2houston.com.